Welcome to the Real Joe Show. We are live with Stewart Downey over in Bern, North Carolina. We're going to be talking about listings, and we might throw in some coaching tips in there too. So, real estate's about listings. Stewart is a master at that. He might argue that point. We're going to get into it. Welcome, Stewart.
Thank you, my friend. I'm privileged to be here.
Thanks for coming on. This is going to be some fun. So this show is all about real estate, geared towards informing real estate agents and professionals about what's going on, what's trending, some tips and tricks. And let's jump into how you got where you are. Like I said, you are a listing specialist. It says so underneath your head. And how did you get to this point to be a listing specialist?
Well, honestly, kicking and screaming. I started in real estate back in 2013 because that's what my family's always done. My degree set really doesn't make you hireable. I've got a bachelor's degree in history and wasn't much to do with that. So jumped into real estate, and I worked with buyers for the first 3.5 years of my career. And to be completely honest, I thought I was amazing. I really did. But at some point, my boss, Donna, she owns and operates the team that I work under. She said, I really would like you to come and list houses for me. And she'd done this like a number of times as I was a buyer specialist and was running through it. I was like, no. And then finally she said, listen, you're going to list houses on our team or you're going to go find other employment. I said, okay, great. And so it was January of 2017. And that year I listed 107 houses. So all of the credit is to Donna on that one, because she knew me and understood what I was good at and wanted and fought for me to get into the position that I should have been at.
What is that switch? It's not a secret. What's the technique, or what is the talent that you have that you put 107 homes under agreement? What did she see in you?
I don't know that it's like I have a hard time calling myself talented. That's always been an issue of mine. I think that I just really understood the mechanics of what we were doing. Like if I can boil something down to its simplest possible like idea and concept, I can run with that. And so for listings, there were people that had houses and there are people that had a need to sell houses. Specifically, this was when expireds were rampant. It was 2017. So we had a lot of expireds on our market. So they said, listen, if you look for expired listings and you call them or you send them mail or they've already expressed a desire to hire an agent, and therefore they're more likely to hire you than someone who has not expressed that interest or need. So go there.
That makes sense. So pick me.
Yeah. And so you just make 57 phone calls a day, and Robert, your mother's brother, you take 107 listings.
Okay. So that's, I think you might have sped that one up a little bit too fast. So these 107 listings, you generated all those calls, all those appointments yourself, or did you have a system behind you?
The bulk of it was me on a phone. I had Vulcan 7, which is, I think, a great resource. It's got an auto dialer in it, one at a time, and you can just call through and make your calls. So I had this little wonderful system, and you just hit start. Yeah. So
Vulcan 7. Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, so it's got the dialer in there. And the cool thing about having the dialer is it eliminates call bias. You load in your list, you hit start, and you go. And that's what you do. So
57 calls a day. How much time was that?
Typically 2.5 hours of just dead on dedicated calls.
57 dials. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, you eliminate enough distraction.
How many talk-tos would you get with that on average?
Typically 20, 25.
Right around half. That's good. And what about your appointment settings? How many calls
I would
take
set,
to get an appointment?
So I figured out that 57 dials a day generated 159 appointments for that year, and it turned into 107 listings. So I would set 1 to 2 appointments a day.
That's fantastic. Did you realize how, at the time while you're doing that, you put in the hard work, and you realize how few people do that and how extraordinary that is?
Honestly, it never occurred to me, and still hasn't. Because again, I'm always going to be the person that assumes the best. And so the way that I see it is if people aren't doing that, it tells me that they just don't have a need to do that or haven't decided to put it in that gear.
That's a nice way of putting that. Yeah, I agree. And that's fantastic. So your close ratio is pretty good too. From 159 appointments to 107 listings.
Yeah, just a hair under 70%, I think.
Okay. And how do you feel about that? What was your goal?
70% was actually the number. So I missed it very, very shy. That was exactly what I wanted.
That's awesome. That's great. Scripting, dialogues, let's call them. Did you create your own? borrow from somebody else?
Oh, I am a firm fan of rip off and duplicate. So it was the bold script, business objective, life by design, that fantastic class. It was, to the script right now because it's burned into my head. Hey, this is Stewart Downey and Team New Bern. Thank you for taking my call. Listen, I'm certain by now that you know that your home has shown up in an expired listing in our multiple listing service. And undoubtedly, I was calling to see when you plan to hire the right agent for the job to sell your house.
Nice. Yeah. After you say that a few thousand times, it sinks in, huh?
Yeah, it's stuck in there. I think my wife actually accuses me of calling expireds in my sleep.
And so what's interesting about dialogues, a lot of people shy away from them because they don't feel they're natural. Somebody just heard what you just did. It doesn't sound natural. You can say it as quick as you want, as slow as you want, as meaningful as you want. It becomes part of you, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, can I be edgy on this? Can I dialogues, scripts, whatever you want to call them? They're not meant to sound like you. They're meant to sound like people who sell lots of houses.
Right. I like that. So an agent listening, play this back slowly, write every word down he said, and start using that. And don't try to create it. Don't try to make it your own. Just use it. Is that what you would recommend?
That's 100% what I would recommend. It's not, there's no need to recreate it if it works.
So let's fast forward. So 2017, you became a listing specialist. You're still a listing specialist. Some things happen in between. What give us a little overview of that path.
After that first year in listings, I was burnt out. I was tired and I was just kind of over that part of the business. And again, Donna, brilliant human, said, hey, I have an opportunity in our market center as a productivity coach, and I think that you can do great at that. I was already teaching a lot of classes at the time because that's where my passion is, truthfully, is helping other agents. And so she said, I've got this opportunity, go and run with it. And so I jumped out of listings. I went over, joined the market center leadership team. I did the productivity coaching role for about a year and a half. I took that program. We had 20 agents enrolled. I left it with 65 in it. Yeah. And this is in a market of, I think there were 400 agents in our board, and we've got about 200 of them at Keller Williams in New Bern. So we hold a big market share. And because of the success we had there, I got a call for a team leader opportunity that moved me across the state to Asheville. Did that for a solid 9 months. And my wife came to me and basically just said, hey, we're too far from family. I can't. And this was during COVID too. So we're like isolated upon isolated. And she said, I can't stay here. And I was like, okay. And I went and quit the next day. Wow. I gave notice. Like I obviously worked it out, but mama wasn't happy. And that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. You're a good husband. That's why you're still married, right?
Exactly.
So you mentioned productivity coaching. You had went from 20 to 65. Productivity coaching programs to wane and they fall apart and some don't ever get off the ground. What was working for you that attracted so many agents that wanted to be in that program?
To be completely honest with you, I showed them my heart and told them what I wanted. I mean, you have some level of credibility when you list and sell and do stuff. And so that was afforded to me based on past success. The thing that got people involved and kept them engaged was I put myself out there for them. I would go on appointments with them. If they booked a listing appointment and they were unsure about their ability to sign it, I'd get it signed for them. The coaching fee was the same. I didn't care. Right. I cared about them and they knew it.
That's great. Are you still in productivity coaching now that you're back in New Bern?
So I actually own my own coaching business. It's called Encompass Consulting. And I have a couple partners out of the Charlotte markets that we've all kind of come together. We have coaching division, we have an agent coaching division, and we are building that out to basically service whatever level of production you're in. So at this point, no, it's my own internal coaching group that allows me to coach with my systems and my models. Not that there's anything wrong with the ones that got us here, but for me, it's not just like I can't improve upon the MREA in terms of a business profile. That's perfect. What I can do is take that and talk about what areas of your life are important and how I can help you get that life side along with business coaching. So that's really my niche as a coach.
Great. So you start off, and this is our approach here as well. We start off on our goal setting for 2024. Our agents are starting off on the personal side, and that's what matters, right? I don't know if that's what you're explaining. We start off on the personal side and then we plug in, okay, how are we going to make that work? and then we build their business to that.
Absolutely. It is that. I mean, and I go in, so it's the 7 circles from the one thing. So spiritual life, physical health, personal life, key relationships, job, business, finances. And so our coaching is built to make sure that wherever those are, I'm improving those areas. And the big defense for me is those 7 areas ought to have a defined place on your calendar.
Right. Very nice. So is that program still in place? What you've created?
Yeah, it is. It's gone through a couple different coaches, and now it is being helmed by an amazing and talented human being that is just running with it and putting their own spin on it, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. You have to be original as a coach. I think you have to be who you are. You're not gonna be successful and helping others if they don't believe that you are you. So that's great. Let's go back to now. So now we have a lot going on still. You have your own company coaching, and you're not doing just Keller Williams agents. Are you available for outside of Keller Williams as well?
We are a broker agnostic company.
Good. What else is happening in the world other than listing specialists? Because I wanted to get back to that.
Yeah, I mean, we can dive back in. I'm re-engaging in sales. I've taken the past about 5 months to be congruent and work on myself and to really work on the person that I'm bringing into 2024. And so I actually wrote a book in the last 5 or 6 months. It's not long. It's probably not the greatest literary work anyone would ever read, but it was a passion project for me because I've started 4 different ones and I've just not finished them. So I said, nope, start to finish, soup to nuts, write one, publish it. It's available on Amazon. It's called Make It a Great Day. And I wrote that, and I got myself back into a place that I knew that there's opportunity coming, I think, in 2024 for real estate brokers. And I said, the best way for me to basically share that gospel of opportunity is to re-engage fully into sales. I still got my coaching company, still running that, still doing the teaching engagements, but I think that 2024 is an opportunity year for a lot of people. And so I just said, you know what, let's go out and sell 40, 50, 60 houses and just prove it.
That is the opposite of what most agents are thinking right now. And I'm sure you hear that. There's doom and gloom. They're listening to it. They're planning a soft year. Why are you so different?
Well, whenever adversity happens, the people who just choose not to take that advice seem to do fantastic. I know that there are projections right now that we're going to close somewhere between 3.9 and 4.1 million homes in 2023, and they're projecting 3.8 to 4 million homes in 2024. That's not a big fall off in my mind. I mean, we went from 6.1 in 2022 to 4 in 2023. That's a big drop off. But, if it's 4 this year and it's 3.9 next year, that's going to be an unnoticeable change.
Yes.
So for anyone believing that next year is going to be terrible, awful, and you shouldn't do it, well, if you listen to that and you don't renew your license in January, all you're doing is clearing the field for people like you and I that see the opportunity. And real estate will still be transacted. And so I just want to make sure that my hand's raised and that I'm in the relationship that I need to be with the people in my world, so that when they choose to do a real estate transaction, I'm the one they choose.
That's great. That's the headline for the show. That's pretty good. I like that. So going to your business now, all right, it's a listing market. Well, it's always a market to listing, right? That's the game. With listings, it's not 2017, it's 2023 going into 2024. Is there a difference in your approach to how you're going after listings?
100% different. Expireds exist, not in any way near the volume that I would want to support my business with. So I'm focusing a lot on social media, but specifically using social media, specifically Facebook, to better inform my database. Because what we know, or what they tell you the average would be, is that people stay in residence 7 to 10 years, and that's a lifetime average, but that's not a life event average. The life event average would tell you that the first-time home buyer only stays in residence for about 3 years, or possibly even fewer. And then you would look at people who are growing, like having children. Okay, they're going to potentially come close to a real estate life event. Okay, what about marriage? What about divorce? What about death? What about downsizing? There are a number of different life events that trigger a real estate need. And so what I'm doing is basically just looking at my database, looking at the cross section against social media and saying, who do I know that I may be in relationship with or may not be in the best relationship with? How close are they to having a real estate life event happen to them? And the closer in proximity they are to one of those life events, the better friend I need to be to them. That is the blueprint for 2024 for me, is be a better human being and be a better friend, but also be strategic about my database. Because what I've found it with a lot of, like, not only with teams, but with the agents that I coach, agents are fantastic about calling their past clients that they sold last year.
Oh, yeah.
But the people they sold last year have less than 4% likelihood of a real estate life event happening to them. So we're calling the wrong people.
That's right. Let's talk about your strategy. You're touching base with your database. How big is that database?
So me personally, I like to keep my personal database between 200 and 400. That is a manageable size that I can handle. My team's database is massive, and there's a ton of people that have a hand in it and are cultivating it, from mailers. We'll call around events that we do. We'll do pop buys and things like that. But my main focus is 200 to 400 people, because those are the folks that I know I'm not going to get overwhelmed making a phone call once a quarter.
And in that 200 to 400, there's somewhere between 40 and probably 100 transactions that are going to take place with those people or people that they know. So is your solo effort on your sphere of influence, or are you looking at the database of the entire team, or just allowing that to happen on its own?
So the team does such a great job at what they're doing that I don't want to step on that. What I'm doing is I'm adding a layer of touches that are specific and personal from me. So basically, I'm looking at it saying, how can I enhance what my team's already doing? Now, if I wasn't so inclined, if I wasn't in this world, I would just look at the 200 to 400 people and say, all right, they're going to get an email every month, maybe two. They're going to get a phone call. And then what else would I build around it to just stay top of mind?
Yeah. Now, so your team does the events and you invite your 200 to 400 in there. That's great leverage for you.
It's
Even
amazing.
though you're a team member, you're using the team as leverage for your own personal business, your own sphere.
Well, yeah, because, when I wasn't actively selling, when I was off in Asheville or when I was a productivity coach, I left my database with the team. I wasn't actively competing against it. People, I've been asked this question before, and they're like, why don't you build a team? You coach people to do it. And I said, why would I do for myself what's already been done for myself? It's already there. I have an incredible group of people around me. I don't want to go out and try to recreate that. I can use it, and I can provide the life that I want to have.
Right. Well, along with that, I know a lot of agents don't understand the responsibility to be a team leader, to be in charge of people's livelihoods, and not just their livelihood, but their family and how many people that it affects. And that's all on the leader's shoulders to take care of that. So while you're getting the benefit of having all that without having that massive responsibility, not only on the payroll, just the emotional piece of it. You do what you do and you go off, and you can now add other layers to your world, like you were saying, like you do. That's fantastic. Is this by design?
Yeah, absolutely. My life, I know what I was built for. I was built to train people up, to be the person that if you're struggling, if something's hard, I'm the one that you want in your corner. I'm going to give you everything I got. And I can do that in real estate, and that's fantastic. I love my clients and the ability that I have to help them. But my true passion is for agents. And so I need to maintain a sales business. The team allows me the leverage to maintain the sales business, to be in the weeds with my agents that I coach, to bring in the best practices. But it also gives me the platform, that leverage gives me the platform to go out and build what truly is what I desire to be doing. If you told me tomorrow that I could never sell a house again and coach full time, I'd say I'd still need to sell some houses because my agents deserve that.
Yeah, that's great. And there's a theory, there are some companies, some theories where the coaches never even did real estate. I don't understand that methodology. I guess what they are doing is teaching one thing and one thing only. So they become experts in that single subject matter, not the nuances and the variety of ways to go about real estate.
Yeah, and they're not going to be able to change as quickly as markets change. I mean, I always tell people, I'm like, look, Butch Harmon never won a major, but he coached Tiger to win 15. So I'm not saying you have to be an expert in the field or have done it yourself, but you have to know something about it. And you can either get that scholastically or by falling off of bicycles like I like to do. So however you come at it, I think if your goal's right and help people, good for them. But maybe I just like to learn by doing, and that's my craft.
So before, if somebody wanted to get into the coaching, if they feel that passion, they're not sure they have the skill set to do that. First of all, how do they recognize that they have the skill set? And then how do they go about to develop that skill so that they can actually feel confident and get in front of people and start coaching and training?
Decide what you want to master first. Like there's got to be, you have to start small. I think if you have a passion for people, you can go a long way on passion and people will follow you on passion alone. And I think that when you get to a place that you're willing to show imperfection, like people will follow imperfection, not perfection, but start with something that you want to just know better than anyone and build everything off of that. Because like, if you look at my training journey, when I started coaching, my ability to diagnose a P&L was not very good. Today, I'm stellar at it. I started with, look, if I can just help you put a lot of money in, I can get you the disposable income to hire somebody who's better than me at a P&L. So I started with what I know, which is how to get people into production fast. And I know how to do that. And from there, I just built on what I knew was my skill set. So everyone's good at something. Everyone's better at someone else at one specific thing. Whatever that is, make that your driving force and run with it.
When you're so focused on that one thing, how do you broaden that to be able to service a multitude of agents?
Well, it either happens naturally or it doesn't. So if it happens naturally, you'll get really good at that one thing. And then there's just a little road that goes off this way. And you're like, oh, well, this is something that I can add to it. And then you go master that. If that doesn't happen and you just get laser focused at one thing, be the coach of one thing. There's a book about it. If you're the KW effect, he's the best at teaching why profit share at Keller Williams is amazing and a great opportunity. He doesn't teach anything else. He teaches that. And right. I don't think he wants to teach anything else. Well, okay, I'm going to say this in the most loving way possible because he can be great at whatever he wants, but I know he's great at this, and I don't think it requires a lot of effort for him to be great at this. Perhaps there's another thing that he could teach that would require effort. Like if we turn the camera back on me, it took me a while to get good at those, and at the beginning it was tough. So
yeah, good. So listing agent, you get your own coaching company. What are your days like? That sounds like a massive workload. You're married, you have kids. What's life like?
Life is busy, which is the way that I need it to be. If life isn't busy, I don't deal well with inactivity. I think you had the ADHD coach on, and I really resonated with that. I was like, I understand that because I have a varied amount of interests. So for me, if I'm not busy, if I wasn't doing all of these things, every one of these things would suffer. If I'm not actively engaged in doing multiple tasks, then whatever one thing I'm focusing on, if I don't have an outlet for just my massive amounts of energy, then everything's going to suffer. So for me, it's out of necessity. If I'm not doing 5-10 things at a time, I don't do well.
What's your work week look like?
Lead generation, 9 to 11. I teach, except on Mondays. I teach a class from 9 to 11 on Mondays. I have 4 coaching calls with different clients. On average, there's about 4, depending on who they are. So coaching calls typically happen earlier in the morning for me. I want them to get the best of me. And so that's very, 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. That's when my coaching calls are happening. Teach classes, roll into lead generation, appointments in the afternoon, recording YouTube videos, doing podcasts happen in the afternoon. It's varied, but the most important parts of my days are this. Friday night is date night with my wife. That is, you cannot get in the way of that. Sundays are blocked off for family, for my son, for church. Got to go get my Jesus in. And from there, it's white space. I mean, we just got through football season. So football season occupies some white space for me on Saturdays because I'm a University of Georgia grad. So it's a fluid calendar. The things that matter the most are spending time with my son, with my Lord, and with my parents.
Nice. And it sounds like obviously you're using, everyone calls it time blocking, whatever you want to call it. you have that set calendar and that doesn't budge. Is that correct?
That's correct.
During the week?
Yeah, it's the same every week. It does not move unless I'm traveling for a training, and I'll erase and replace some things, which, I do stay on the road a lot, but it pretty much stays the same.
All right, so let's figure out how people can follow you, get in touch with you, because it sounds like you're on a bunch of different things. The book, why don't you give the book again? That's the name of the book.
So the book is called Make It a Great Day. Small Habits Make All the Difference. It's available on Amazon, and I tried to keep it as cheap as possible. And it is literally the easiest read you'll ever have. It takes probably 30 to 45 minutes. It is not a long book, but it's just observations that I've had from my life and some smart things my dad has said. So
nice. Well, it's used to work. Social media. You mentioned podcasts, you mentioned YouTube.
My YouTube channel is just Stewart H. Downey. You can find me on Facebook, Stewart H. Downey, or Coach Stewart Downey. Those are the easiest ways to get in touch with me. I drive everyone to my personal Facebook page because I think that that's congruent with my message. I don't want you to think that I'm an entity. I'm a human. So friend me on Facebook, Stewart H. Downey. The picture is me and my son. We're staring at a trout pond because we love to fish. Send me a friend request. Let's connect. Let's talk. Let's see if I can help you.
Great. So that everyone should start there. They'll find the YouTube channel from there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I will Facebook spam you with all of that. The podcast hasn't been released yet. I am taking a page out of some social media gurus, and I'm building up an inventory library so that I can then just start rolling it out.
What's next? What's next in the chapter of Stewart's life? What's the next chapter?
That's a great question, and I will be completely honest with you. If I gave you an answer, you could call me a liar, because I go where I'm led and I go where the needs are. And so I can tell you for 2024, I'm going to be a great real estate broker. I'm going to be a great coach, but more importantly, I'm going to be an attentive husband and a stellar father. And if that's all that I can tell you about my future, I think that's probably the smartest thing I can say.
Yeah, that's a fantastic goal. Anything you wanted to add to it before we sign off?
I've really enjoyed this. I hope that you get some great feedback. I hope I said some smart things that'll help your agents. And if the feedback's good enough, I'd love to do this again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your answers were right to the point. Which is fantastic. I think the audience will appreciate that, as do I. All right, Stuart, we'll see you again. Let's come up with the next story to tell. Thanks for watching The Real Joe Show.